Welcome to another episode of Jackman Radio. I'm your host, Mike Jackman, and I'm joined today by writer, producer, musician, music video creator, and artist Joe Agius. Joe, how's it going today?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Thanks for
Good,
having me.
thanks. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us. I saw that you posted something. You just had a procedure done. I hope you're healing up okay, but you're interested in maybe doing some interviews. So we're here today to promote Joe's great new double single that he's released. I Thought I Knew You and Let It Flow. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about that, Joe, and how that's going?
Yeah, so I just put out two singles. One's called I Thought I Knew You, and the second one's called Let It Flow. I just wanted to kind of give everyone a double dose because it's taken a while for me to get some new music out.
Yeah, and one of my favorite songs that you put out in the last couple of years was in late 2020 in October. The video dropped for "Back Into Your Arms," and I got to say that's my favorite song of yours.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think that's the crowd favorite for sure. It was nice having Harriette or Hatchie sing on that. She always, makes any song sound amazing as soon as she touches it.
Yeah, you guys have an amazing, very unique sound together, and stage presence as well as presence in music videos. So I understand that song initially started off as a song you wanted to do for the Hatchie project, and then it kind of evolved into Rinse.
Yeah, so I'm always kind of we're both writing music constantly, and I guess after the first Hatchie record, I came a bit more into the co-writing sense of Hatchie, and I guess when I'm writing random songs all the time, I'm always kind of thinking of her. If there's an idea that I kind of take to her in the other room, and we finish up together, and that was one of them. But it kind of just felt like a song I wanted to keep for myself, and it felt like a good way to feature Harriet on my music. So it kind of just ended up that way. But there is actually a Hatchie version that's on a Japanese deluxe version of the record, of her last record as well. So there is a Hatchie version out there.
Oh, cool. So you guys are huge in Japan. You can say that.
I don't know about that, but we haven't toured there yet. One day, hopefully.
Yeah, I love the dynamics of that song because it's kind of brooding, and it reminds me, the guitar line really reminds me of something Robert Smith would have done in the late 80s or early 90s. I don't know if those are some of your influences. That's just what when I listen to it, that's what I hear. And yeah, I don't know. Did you see Robert Smith had a really successful recent tour, even after battling Ticket Monster and trying to keep tickets low for fans?
Yeah, no, he's definitely taken off the team, kind of trying to change, all that ticket stuff. I don't know heaps about it, but it's definitely a problem that we're having here in Australia as well. It's yeah, it's just crazy. I don't know, and it's cool to see him making some, proper change and keeping tickets low and affordable for people.
Yeah, and that's what I love about seeing your show. I saw you guys at a really cool little famous venue in Boston called Great Scott in September of 2019, and sadly that venue's no longer there. That was another
No way.
victim of the pandemic. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, it's happening everywhere.
But I mean, I love it. You got. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, we've lost quite a few venues here since the pandemic too. So yeah, feeling that big time.
Yeah. So how did you deal, with that? Obviously you released that song at the end of 2020, and then that really cool music video. The tongue in cheek with the skeleton. I like how it's brooding and serious, but you also don't take yourself too serious at the same time with the video.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I just try to keep things a bit lighthearted. Sometimes the music feels so serious that I feel like I need to balance that out a little bit, the videos. But yeah, I guess the video side of things, I just get to kind of have fun with it and do whatever first comes to mind, which is usually what ends up being the video is the first thing I kind of think of.
Yeah. So apart from producing, this beautiful music, Joe, you also, I think, direct the music videos and you do set design and art direction. So when you're writing a song, are you already thinking ahead, oh, this is going to make a great video, or do you just kind of go step by step with the songwriting process? How does that typically work for you?
Yeah, I feel like the good songs, like the singles, I'm kind of I'm already thinking about videos, like halfway through writing them. It kind of, for me, music's quite visual. I kind of just like see it as scenes when I'm like trying to write verses and choruses and stuff like that, and like trying to set a mood. Like the way that Harriet and I usually always start songs is we kind of think about, like the atmosphere we want this to be listened in, and or even just like starting with a tempo that that would want to move to the song with. It's always I like working backwards from like a visual kind of cue. I think it helps. But when it comes to videos, yeah, I definitely like, at least the good songs, I feel like they kind of create a little image in my mind pretty early on.
Yeah, because like the "Stay With Me" video, I think you did that one too. That's got a real, it's got like a almost like a '90s club feel to it.
Yeah,
Real throwback, man. It is a real feeling. Like it's a
crying
you
in the
have,
club kind of.
yeah. It's really feel good. I mean, you really have a unique sound. Like when I hear something, I'm like, man, that's Rinse, or that, yeah, it could be a Hatchie, Rinse collaboration. And I really like the version you did in the studio. I think you had an acoustic guitar, maybe, and a cello player for backing your arms. That was kind of like a chamber
Yeah,
stripped down version.
yeah, that was really fun. I'd like to do more of that. That was Mason from the band DMAs, which are quite a big, quite a big act from Australia and in the UK right now. Um, he jumped on cello for that. And yeah, it was cool. It was cool doing that in the studio. I feel like I really love kind of changing everything. For me kind of starts song-wise on like piano and acoustic. So um, it's kind of nice bringing it back to that kind of style, like off record. I'd like to do that more for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoy seeing different versions of songs that I like, and I'll oftentimes kind of comb YouTube for covers. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed the Crush cover. That was cool too. Did you
Yeah,
produce that one too?
yeah, that was yeah, I loved making that. It's been really fun. Like we have the Patreon with Hatchie, so every month we're kind of releasing a cover, and it's kind of it's been good for me just to like get better at producing, and just because the pressure's off, we're not writing it, we just take a song and transplant it into like the kind of style that we make music. So it's really just a producing kind of effort. And yeah, I've learned a lot. Crush was kind of like the first thing of Hatchie that I properly produced all by myself. Yeah, I'm quite proud of that. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's
But
kind of unexpected, but it definitely works. And it's got that kind of whole mood and vibe to it.
yeah, I really like those like kind of old covers that bands do, and I mean, that one's quite obvious. A lot of people know that song, but yeah, I think it's cool we're doing kind of more covers and stuff now, because I really enjoy that about like old bands where they kind of restyle something and you kind of end up liking that cover a lot more than the original.
Yeah. So how did you get your start in music, Joel? Like what inspired you to become a musician? Is this something you've kind of been doing since you were little, or where did you get your start?
Yeah, I was doing heaps of. I was kind of like a singing, dancing, speech and drama kid. Like I was just doing that all the time, out of school, classes and everything. But then kind of got to high school and then discovered the internet and just quit everything music-wise basically. And I was kind of got really into like animation design and stuff, which and video stuff, which obviously I've ended up doing as well, but didn't really look at music again till besides like playing some covers with my friends every now and then at school. I didn't really get into music again until I was studying in university, and I just kind of had like a early life crisis, I guess, and just dropped out of university and told my mom and that I was just going to try and give music a go, but she was pretty reluctant to let me do that. But I said, just give me a year, and within that year, I signed to a label, and I've just been doing it ever since. So it's been pretty lucky, but a lot of hard work to kind of catch up to everyone that's been playing music all through high school and stuff. I've kind of had to like reteach myself how to play everything again.
Yeah, so it's something you've kind of been working on just constantly, pretty much an everyday thing for you, huh?
Yeah, totally. Still not very good, but I try very hard at least.
Hey, well, you got a big fan here in New Hampshire. I don't know. Have you ever been to New Hampshire in the States?
I'm not sure. We might have driven through it. I feel like we've driven through every city there is now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we're about an hour and a half from Boston, where we saw you.
All right.
Yeah, so it's not too
True.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a ton
true.
of indie or smaller places to that would host a show like that. But obviously we touched on The Cure earlier. Like, what are some of your other big influences? Like, I think I'm a drummer, I'm in a band as well, and I feel like we're kind of the
cool.
sum. We're like the sum of our influences. Like, we don't try to deliberately nick something, maybe subconsciously it happens, but like, what are like some of your kind of big influences and who really inspires you?
Yeah, definitely. I find it really hard to draw the line there as well with influence. But yeah, The Cure is a huge one for me. Obviously, I'm always trying to put like either a Cure bass line or New Order bass line and everything.
Nice.
I think it's a pretty kind of common thing we do in both Hatchie and Rid's music. It's always quite melodic and up the higher end when it comes to bass. And yeah, bands like Echo and the Bunnymen, Jesus and Mary Chain, MBV obviously. But I grew up on like a lot of pop, like Coldplay and stuff like that. I feel like I learned how to write good bridges from Coldplay and stuff like bands like that. But yeah, I'm kind of like in the last year, obviously with the new singles, kind of moved into more of a Nine Inch Nails, 80s Depeche Mode kind of world.
Totally.
Enjoying that kind of music a lot more and making that kind of music. And I feel like in a live sense, it's kind of where I want to head. It's a bit more upbeat and heavy and fun to play live. I'm just kind of keen to separate myself a bit from Hatchie and just kind of find my own footing and my own unique kind of style. And I feel like I've kind of found that now with all the new songs I'm working on.
Yeah, they have kind of more of an industrial feel. I was definitely thinking Trent Reznor when I listened to a couple of the more recent ones. Does it feel like heaven? Was that from earlier this year or last year? Sorry, I forget.
That was from March. That was kind of outliner. That was one of those songs because I have all this record that I've been working on, and it's all kind of in the world of the latest songs I just put out. And I was just kind of like, if I don't put out Does It Feel Like Heaven now, it's going to feel really weird to put out after this record. So it kind of made the most sense to release in March, just before I was kind of like clearing out the dream pop cobwebs a bit with that one. But there is some more kind of dream pop, shoegazy, slower kind of ones, sitting in the demo folder. They'll probably come out at some stage. But yeah, kind of moving into the more industrial world right now.
Yeah, you got to go where the muse takes you, where the inspiration takes you. But I love the dream pop stuff too, though, Joe. You mentioned Echo and the Bunnymen. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. Obviously, more of a post-punk, gothic feel. We actually had Will Sargent on the show last year.
Amazing! Yeah, I've been reading his book.
Oh, Bunnymen. So he's got a second one coming out too.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I've been meaning to finish it, but it's really good. I really like his perspective on it all.
Yeah, it's an easy read, and he's just a regular dude, man. I mean, he's like, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't travel the world. I'd probably be working in a shop somewhere or be a baker. He's very tongue in cheek about it, and just him and Ian couldn't be more different. And he told me that Ian dictates all the set lists, so because I was
not surprised.
and I've met Ian a few times too, man. Ian has always been a sweetheart. He's one of my favorite singers and lyricists of all time. And I've seen them perform, probably 6 times. And there's times where you can tell Ian's not in the best mood, like on stage with the sound that he gets or whatever. But he's always been a sweetheart whenever I've met him or to the fans. And so when you play live, like how do you guys kind of determine the set list? Is it more collaborative, or do you like to, depending on the crowd or how long you guys have, like, because I do all the set lists for my band, and it's always like a weird science when I put it together. No 2 shows are ever the same.
Yeah, I mean, in Hatchie, it's kind of like if it's a long tour, Harriet's throat and voice definitely dictates the set list a little bit. It's pretty tough singing every night for like 30 days straight. But yeah, I don't know. Like the US tour we've got coming up, we're kind of doing something really different. Kind of like splitting the set into like three acts. So the first part's kind of like the EP, first EP and album tracks, and then in the middle we're doing like some acoustic stripped back songs and letting the crowd kind of choose what they'd want to hear, and then finishing the set with songs from the latest record, the more kind of pop and upbeat stuff. Finishing with that, so I'm pretty excited to try that because we've been kind of doing the same set for years. It feels like that anyway. It feels like pretty locked in. So yeah, it's going to be cool doing something different.
So we can expect to hear like first sets like Sugar and Spice and songs from that.
Yeah, definitely. We're bringing all those ones back. Yeah, it feels good
Those are
playing
great.
them again. Yeah, we just
Yeah.
played them so much. Kind of, I don't know. It's weird. Like starting a band, I never expected to be in a place where there is like, 2.5 or more records of music where you have to kind of choose. You're not playing every song you have. It's quite a weird place to be in where you have to actually choose, and your opinion on what songs you'd want to hear or play is often quite different to what the crowd wants to hear. So it's you're kind of always changing it around a little bit till you kind of figure out, something that there's something for everyone in there with.
Yeah, definitely. So for the acoustic, are you going to try to reimagine some of the more popular songs acoustically, or do you have different ones in the canon that you're going to bring out, or maybe a couple covers?
Yeah, I don't know about covers. Maybe we will, but yeah, we're kind of just doing the kind of first record and first EP kind of ones. I think they're the most suited. It's kind of really difficult, the latest record, kind of putting them into like an acoustic world. There's a lot of kind of they're just such produced songs that I kind of just want to keep them, the way they are supposed to be heard, I guess. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, anything can happen. I think we're pretty open to just kind of changing it every night for the first time.
Oh, that's cool. That really kind of keeps it fresh, and it's kind of similar to like what Jack White used to do with the White Stripes. He'd even go on stage without any kind of set list, and just him and Meg would just kind of call things out
Yeah,
or see how they felt. I always thought that
I,
was pretty interesting.
yeah, I saw him play one time, and he had, I don't know how the hell he could afford this, but he had two completely different bands, and one was all women, and then I think one was all guys. And like halfway through this set, he just like clicked his fingers or something, and they changed. All the members changed. It was
Wow.
bizarre. Yeah, he was doing something strange like that for a while. Yeah, I saw him at a festival in Australia. Like it's quite a while ago. But yeah, I don't know how he could afford to have two completely different bands with him all the time. But it was interesting for sure.
Was that like a solo show, or was it like the Raconteurs or Dead Weather, or it was just like
It
a?
was just a Jack White show. It was kind of when he first started doing that his solo stuff. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it anymore. But
16
yeah,
Saltines maybe, or around then, or
yeah,
Blunderbuss.
I think so. Yeah,
His videos are wild too, man. Some of them are like horrifying in a good way, It's like a horror movie.
right. I haven't seen them. I have to check them out.
So you guys are kind of doing a West Coast slate of dates in America in late August into September. Any plans for an East Coast jaunt that you know of?
um, to be honest, no real plans. It's kind of like a bit harder for us to get over there. But maybe I was planning on doing a Rinse show in New York when I'm there in September. But I think we're gonna be kicking around on that coast just for a little holiday after this tour. But that's about it. Just kind of a bit out of our reach right now. But definitely keen to come back over. It's probably my preferred coast. So I'd like to get over there and play some more shows.
What's your favorite thing about touring? What do you enjoy the most about it?
Um, it's just I don't know. Harry and I always talk about how when we're touring, we just kind of go to sleep feeling very uh, fulfilled. You know, like um, you kind of done everything you needed to do, and it's you can just kind of like push everything kind of that's happening at home or whatever kind of out of your brain, and it's kind of nice just to hang out with friends and play music. It's always quite different. It depends. Like if you're doing like a support tour, it's kind of a different story. But playing your own shows every night and having everyone kind of sing the songs back and stuff like that, it's like kind of crazy, and it doesn't really get old for us. So it's really nice doing those kind of tours. So we're really looking forward to it because it's been a while since we've done our own shows. We did that Alex G tour last, and yeah, it was kind of weird going back to playing shows where nobody knows who you are mostly, and it's definitely a different kind of vibe. You're like kind of like don't know what to expect, and you kind of have to push yourself out on the stage most nights because it's just a bunch of people kind of hoping you'll finish and the headliner will come on like as soon as possible. But yeah, it's great. I don't know. I love touring. I love drinking
Yeah.
beer, so it's good
Hell
for me.
yeah. What kind of beer? What's your favorite beer?
Um, I feel like this is kind of embarrassing, but I really like just lagers, like watery lagers. I feel like that's an Australian kind of thing, and the closest thing I can kind of I find in America like Modelo's or Bud Light, but people usually laugh at me when I say Bud Light for some reason. But um, yeah, I don't know. I like a Modelo.
I like a good Modelo with a fresh lime myself. Yeah, I'm not an IPA guy either, man. I'm spoiled. I have a really nice brewery across from my place, and we have our birthday party there every year. And
Oh well.
they got a really great pilsner and lager always on draft. So that's I like drinkability. I like
Yeah.
Stella Artois. Um, it's got to be, and Australia, man. I'll tell you, I had a Foster's phase. Foster's oil
Oh
cans,
really?
man. Yeah, yeah.
I've never seen anyone drink a Foster's ever. I don't think.
The oil cans, man. I'll go to band practice sometime and get a few of those, man. Those will get me through practice.
They'll get you going for sure.
Yeah, those are good ones. Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, all the little intricacies of touring and fun things you can discover. I'm sure, obviously, coming from Australia, maybe the first time to America, a little bit of a culture shock.
yeah, definitely. It's I'd say completely different to Australia. Especially like LA and stuff. It kind of like freaked me out a lot when I first came there, to be honest. But gotten used to it a lot. I love it. Yeah, I love yeah, I definitely move there if it was cheaper to live in, LA or New York. But I think that's a while off for us. We kind of moved there a couple of years ago to LA, and I think we made it like 4 months, and then went home with our tails between our legs, broke, unfortunately. But we'll get back there one day, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, even I live in New Hampshire, which is historically pretty cheap, but God, price of everything has gone up, man. It's nuts, and we do have some original songs, but we're basically a cover band, and it's kind of my part. I have a day job. It's really kind of my other part-time gig, and we've been fortunate. We get paid really to play covers, hired by private parties, restaurants, bars. It's kind of our bread and butter, and kind of to what you were saying earlier about the set list, about playing stuff that you get tired of. I mean, some of these covers I've been playing out since 2008, and I'm like, oh God, we got to play this again, or the crowd will scream at us like we're a jukebox, and it's not that we're complaining or we don't appreciate it, but it's like, oh God, I hate this song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I was actually just listening to a podcast today. You know that band, that Australian band, The Vines.
The
Um,
Vines, yeah, I've
the
heard of them.
Vines. They were kind of around in like the early 2000s Strokes kind of era, and they were kind of like our biggest kind of rock and roll export at the time. But the drummer was talking about being in a cover band on this podcast with my friend, and it was really interesting. He was just before he joined this like the Vines, which blew up like crazy, which he found in like a Classifieds ad. But he was just playing in a cover band, going to Vegas like Christmas time every year, and I have a few friends that have played in cover bands, and I I think I'd probably make more money doing that as well. So I'm definitely open to it. If there's a David Bowie cover band in Melbourne, and you need a synth player or even a singer, let me know.
Yeah, hey, if you need a drummer, let me know. Bowie's one of my favorites too, man. There's actually a Bowie tribute act called Young Americans that's going to be about 20 minutes from my house next month, so I'm super stoked for that.
Sick.
You know, the friggin' woods in New Hampshire, we got a Bowie cover band coming, so I feel spoiled. You know, I even love Bowie's music in Labyrinth, man. Will Sargent kind of laughed at me when I brought that up. We were talking about Bowie, and he's got a great story. It was actually, he was on tour in Australia, I think, with David Bowie. Bowie asked the Bunnymen to tour them in Australia and open up for him.
Oh, wow.
And Will had all of his, he had like 30 vinyl albums shipped out to Australia and had him there, and Bowie was signing them. He signed every single one of them for him. And
wow.
Before one of the shows, Will accidentally spilled an entire drink all over Bowie. He had just come out of like getting all his wardrobe,
hair, makeup,
everything, and he said he was really cool about it. But Bowie's a huge favorite of mine. We do Heroes. What's some of your favorite Bowie tunes or eras?
Yeah, I love the Ziggy Stardust record like so much. I listened to that just front to back so much growing up. Yeah, I got really into what's that record? It's the one that like has like the Trent Reznor kind of remix and
I'm Afraid of Americans was on there.
And the last thing you should ever know or something like that. But it's got all these. It's kind of like very in the world of Nine Inch Nails. I think it was when he became friends with Trent and they did that tour together. Maybe it was a bit before that, but yeah, it's really cool. I've been into that one heaps. There's like a really sick video where there's Robert Smith, I think Billy Corgan as well, playing one of the songs on that record live with him. It's really sick. I have to remember.
Oh, is that called Heathen?
No, it's like what is it? Last thing.
The
last thing you should do. The last thing you should do. Yeah, and it's on what's it on? Yeah, Earthling. That's it.
Oh, Earthling. Okay. Yeah. Does that have "I'm Deranged" from the Lost Highway soundtrack? I think it's kind of
maybe
around that era. That's a cool one too. Yeah, he collaborated. David Lynch had him do that for Lost Highway. Bowie, man, I just started the documentary about him, Moon Age Daydream.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch it.
His, I really like his last two albums too, man. I mean, especially the last couple music videos. He, filmed and released those. He knew he was dying of cancer, it's looking back, watching it now, kind of not knowing that at the time, but it's like, wow, that's heavy. Like the dude was so intertwined with his art and so committed to it that he really planned it out like that, for Black Star and Lazarus.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I remember, it's just such a crazy thing to do and keep. I just don't know how he managed to keep it so private, and it definitely, made those records just feel completely different, knowing that he was making those, knowing that they would be his last or whatever. I'm sure he was planning on making many more, as many as he could before he, passed away. They're amazing records too. It was kind of crazy. I remember reading some stories about the people that worked on those records and, how a lot of the people kind of knew it was happening, but it was just a real kind of tight ship and everyone kept it very private, which is good.
Yeah, I think for the last album, I think Tony Visconti produced it. He was producing them since Space Oddity since the beginning, but they kind of had this like jazz band in New York that Bowie would kind of go and sneak in and see in a small club, and they were like, I think it was Visconti was like, what do you guys think about playing on Bowie's next album? But you got to sign the NDA, you got to be quiet, kind of like you said there. But could you imagine getting that call? Yeah, you're going to be working on an album. It's for David Bowie.
You can't tell anyone.
Yeah, and you can't tell anyone. All the eras. I mean, probably Starman and I like Ashes. I mean, so many good songs, man.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
Maybe you guys will incorporate a Bowie tune in a live rinse set coming up.
Yeah, maybe. I used to cover Let's Dance a lot in my old band, The Creases. Whenever we had like a midnight set or like a kind of a party kind of show or something like that, we'd always cover that one. And there was like a Brisbane Bowie tribute night, and I did that there as well. I kind of butchered it a lot, to be honest, but gave it my own spin, which, you know, couldn't help. I'm terrible at remembering lyrics, so I'll often just plug some of my own in there if I can't remember.
So yeah, you don't do I don't think you guys do the teleprompter. You're not.
No. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but when it comes to covers, I can remember like 100 of my own songs, but when it comes to a cover, I get on stage, it just goes all out the window, and it gives me so much anxiety doing covers live when I'm singing them. So I always have the lyrics written, but I also need glasses, so it actually kind of like makes it worse when there's lyrics on stage, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what they're saying. There's usually a few beers in me, and I can't read them very well.
Yeah, I'm lucky because during the shows as the drummer, I get to sit and I really can't sing. I mean, obviously I love singing on my own or in the shower or the car or whatever, like anybody, but we'll have a good laugh. We have two singers and the same deal. Some nights we'll do, 39 to 45 songs and they're mostly covers. And some of them, he's got the sheet music. Like we do Surfing USA by the Beach Boys. And that's the word salad song. And when they flub words, the crowd might not know it, but we know it. And like you said, they'll add in a word or create their own kind of verse, and we pull it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
I want to see it. Yeah, it sounds cool. I have so much admiration for cover bands, especially when you just have like, a 60 song set or 30 or whatever, and it's changing every night, or you're doing 3 sets a night. It's just, it's crazy. I mean, I think I probably learn a lot doing something like that. Maybe it's a good idea.
It's fun, and I also describe it as like a plutonic marriage between 4 or 5 men. You become shrink, because I do the booking too. So I handle the booking, the negotiating with the venues, and then interpersonal stuff. Like 3 of us, we've been in the band together since 2008. We've had a couple of lineup, we've had a few different bass players, but the core of the core band's been together since 2008. So it's been interesting. But the dynamics and choosing what songs. Like I want to do more post punk and 80s. Like I want to do more Smiths, Bunnymen, but I'm often vetoed and outnumbered because I feel like crowds. Some crowd. I mean, I feel like a lot of people would know a song like "The Killing Moon." You'd be surprised how many, because that's been in like so many movies and TV shows in recent years. It's crazy.
Totally. Or even their like cover of "People Are Strange" or something like that.
Yeah, that's a cool cover. I've seen them play that a couple times.
Yeah, I've never seen them play live, but they're kind of one of the few bands. I mean, you said they were great, so maybe I will. But I was always scared that I'd see them and it wouldn't be like what I imagined in my head. It's kind of like that with older bands that kind of do reunions or they keep going. I think like besides a few like slow dives that probably sound better than they ever have.
I do like slow dive.
Get a little bit. Yeah, I just saw them recently in Melbourne just a few weeks ago, and it was just amazing. And I'm sure like they sound better than they ever have, back in the early '90s or whatever. Probably the best I've ever performed. So it's cool seeing bands like that. Yeah.
And they got like 3 guitars going, right? They got 3 guitars, a bass, and a drummer, I think, and maybe.
Yeah, Rachel's playing a lot of keys now, which is cool. Yeah.
Their stuff's so ethereal. I mean, Souvlaki, Sleep. I mean, obviously the more quote unquote hits, but I have never heard anything by them I didn't like, including the new stuff from a few years ago when they had the comeback album. I think that was.
I think. Yeah, it's great. I love that new song "Kisses" as well. It's quite nice. Still writing great songs. Sometimes I don't really, when bands kind of get back together and stuff and start playing shows, I kind of hope they don't make a new record because I just want to hear the old stuff. But with Slow Dive, I like hearing it all. It was really good. It was a long set. I think it was like 2 hours or something like that, an hour and a half. It's definitely got enough songs, that's for sure.
Oh, I got to check. Yeah, I missed them. They came to the Paradise in Boston, and I missed you guys last year too. I think you played at the Middle East in Cambridge, or it was either last year or 2021. I don't know, the way years have gone by since 2020. It's almost like 1 year, but it almost feels like 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just, yeah, my memory is just shot when it comes to thinking about this year, to be honest.
But yeah, I did see Jesus and Mary Chain in 2015 for the 30th anniversary of Psycho Candy, and that was awesome. They still got it too, man. You saw them too?
Yeah. I saw them around then as well. I think we played a festival with them in Australia with Hatchie. It was so good. I went and saw them twice because I was just at the festival. It wasn't really their crowd, and I was like, I just want to go to their show, their headline show, and it was just so fun. I was just jumping around with a bunch of old guys in the mosh. It was just the best. So good.
Yeah, and the thing about Slowdive, man, that they were so young when they came out in the late '80s and early '90s. I don't even think they're all 50 yet, or they might just be around 50. So it's really cool to see them, come back together. And to your point, like they almost sound better than ever and better now than maybe they did back then. It could be because of technology or because they're just more polished as musicians. Obviously Neil went off and did, solo stuff, and they kind of went off and did different things. I think that's Neil is his name. But yeah, they've come back kind of more polished. So, but yeah, I mean, like last summer I saw Brian Wilson in Chicago play a double bill, and Beach Boys are one of my all-time favorites too. But it was rough seeing Brian. He's in pretty rough shape, and I don't know if he's going to be touring anymore.
Yeah.
But
yeah, totally. He played in Australia, but I wasn't too sure about seeing him. I thought it'd make me a little bit sad as well. But when it comes to Slowdive, I mean, it's kind of the dream, kind of getting an email like 10 years later and being told that your music's more popular than ever and you need to get the band back together. So pretty happy for them.
Yeah, there's some great versions of When the Sun Hits, and I got to check them out. So, all right, Joe. Well, so you got the tour coming up. I think some California dates. Are you guys pretty much just staying out in California or hitting Arizona?
Yeah, we've got a festival in Seattle. I think it's like a first or second festival we've ever played in America, so it's pretty exciting. And then just heading down from there, doing San Fran, going to Ventura. I've never been there before. And then, LA. It's very short. It's weird, actually, because we're so used to doing like 3 or 4 weeks, and it's 5 days, 5 shows over, 10 days or something like that. So it's going to go by very quickly. Hopefully more shows next time. We're working on plenty of new music, so trying to get that done and out there and touring as much as we can next year, hopefully.
Yeah, and if you do the Rin show in New York, I'm probably 3.5 hours from New York, so maybe I could make it out to that. If that's going to happen. But
I'll let you know.
The new singles, I Thought I Knew You and Let It Flow from Rinse, Joe Agius. Joe, I really appreciate you coming on. It was great meeting you and talking to you, and I wish you and Harriette safe travels, and looking forward to seeing you guys play again sometime real soon here in the States.
Yeah, thanks so much. Hopefully see you over there.
All right, and thank you everybody for watching. All right, take care.